Alright guys, let's talk about the next BFL for 2015 was on the James River on July 18th. This tournament for me was a redemption tournament because last year at regionals I had a great first day, was in 4th place, felt great about my pattern, but a super high tide with the wind against it completely blew me out and just killed me for the second day. I ended up coming in 16th place. So, and because I didn't know anything about tides, so I wanted to get back to the James to learn what I could about the tides and try to get some redemption there. So, I had a really good pre-fish. My brother, myself, and my friend were all pre-fishing it together, and then I also got a chance to go fish with a local friend of mine to hear him talk about the tides and how to run the tide or squat in place and all those kind of things that everybody always talks about. So my plan was to run the tide a little bit. So what I wanted to do was I found a small creek about halfway to the Chick that had some real good water flow through it. It was real skinny, and if there was any flow at all, a creek like that was nice and skinny was going to have a decent flow through it. So the first day of the tournament went up into this creek and actually had to do a little waste a little bit of time until the tide got right to run up into the creek. And then once I got up there, tide should have been pulling, and it just wasn't. And we couldn't figure out why. Matter of fact, the guy that was my co-angler was a local. I mean, he was born on the James, and he couldn't figure it out. And what we finally learned was that there was out on the main river there was a pretty decent northern wind that was preventing the tide from coming in. So we were not getting that pull that we wanted to. So it was real slow and real. You could just barely see it come in. If you would leave an area and come back in 20 minutes later, you might see, oh wow, it is coming up, but you just couldn't see that nice heavy pull. So I told myself I needed to stay back in there because I was 3/4 way back up in that creek and had found a really nice laydown, big laydown right on a turn, and I caught the majority of my fish off that tree, throwing a KVD 6-inch perfect plastic, black with red flake, and they were just killing it. And I had no reason to leave. Matter of fact, I at one point I fished almost all the way back out to the mouth, and I said, I only got 3 in the boat, I'm going to run back up there. And I think my co-angler thought I was a little crazy, but I ran back up there because I knew there were fish there. I knew they were going to load up on that tree, and sure enough they did. So once the tide started getting to the point where we got to get out of here, or else we're going to be staying here for 12 hours, we took off and fished our way back to the landing, but really didn't catch anything else in any of my other spots. Might have caught a couple, but they didn't do anything for my weight. So what happened is I end up had 5 fish for 10 pounds, which doesn't sound a lot, but on the James, that's not a bad little sack. I ended up in 26th place, which was not a bad redemption. And I was the last guy to cash a check in that tournament. So that was a good tournament for me. I learned a lot about tides, and it can be tricky. And I took that tide knowledge with me at the end of this year into the Potomac to help me out. But the tides are a little different on the Potomac than they are on the James, and I'll explain that to you on my Potomac report. But that was a pretty good tournament on the James River.